I would like to thank the management of Route Mobile Limited to give us the opportunity for hosting their Q3 earnings call. We have with us the leadership team from Route Mobile that includes Mr. Rajiv Gupta, Managing Director and Group CEO, Mr. Gautam Badalia, Chief Strategy Officer, Mr. Suresh Jankar, Chief Financial Officer. I will now request Mr. Rajiv to provide brief remarks on the company's performance and future outlook before the management team walks us through the financial details of Q3 FY21 results. Over to you, Rajiv, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First of all, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Rajiv.
First of all, a very happy new year to all of you. I just wanted to start my brief over the last 3 months since our last call, as things start to get back to normal, or at least new definition of normal. We had many positive developments, and I'm excited to share some of these with you. We had another great quarter on the back of strong momentum and the industry tailwinds. Our technical capabilities have helped us grow our existing business to win new clients as we continue to simplify the entire mobile communication ecosystem for our new customer and existing customer as well. As I have mentioned before, our team has been 100% operational since day one of the lockdown, and none of our clients have left us, and there's no any impact or degradation of services during this time. Quite the contrary, in the fact, it has been business as usual throughout, and while we hope and pray never to see this time like this again, we stand prepared for any such kind of existing in future. Some of the things which we have been up to from the last quarter, we have been hiring talent across the board, and our most recent addition of Milind Pathak as a Chief Business Officer will help and accelerate our new product initiative. CPaaS adoption amongst enterprise is accelerating, and as we continue to integrate all available channels into our platform, we will be positioned to capitalize on this. Our BOD has additional firepower in terms of Mr. Arun Gupta as an independent director on our board, who brings a lot of industry experience behind him. We completed the cloud migration of our India infrastructure in this last quarter and have ability to scale at the moment without a notice of just 1 day. As of today, we have been operating from office with 40% strength, and as the travel modes open up, we will slowly and safely move our workforce back to the normal. DLT introduction in India has resulted in many changes for the domestic market, and aside from some of the anticipated teething issue with enterprise clients, we are fully operational with the new guidelines and requirements. The pandemic has accelerated the adoption of newer channel of communication by enterprise, and we have been witnessing the massive demand surge over IP messaging, voice, and unified communication. On a sad note, we lost one of our senior leaders, Rory Kite, CEO 365 Squared. Rory's death has sudden and a huge shock to all of us, and our thoughts and prayers are always with his family. He will be missed both personally and professionally. However, based on Rory's recommendation and prudent planning, we added Andy Fowle to our team, and few days after Rory's onboarding, and Andy has taken over all responsibilities seamlessly. As Rory always said, the show must go on. There's a lot more to share, and with this in mind, I will turn the call over to Gautam to run you through the financials and the road ahead. Thank you. Over to you, Gautam.
Yeah, thank you, Rajiv. Good evening, everyone, and wishing all of you a very happy 2021. As highlighted by Rajiv, Route Mobile continues to drive the strong industry tailwinds, and our financial performance in Q3 FY21 is a testimony to that. To start with, I would want to highlight that in 9 months FY21, we have already surpassed our FY20 operating revenue, EBITDA and adjusted PAT by 20%, 32% and 34% respectively. In terms of Q3 FY21 performance, our revenue from operations grew 46% on a YOY basis from 2662 million in Q3 FY21 to 3516 million in Q3 FY21. EBITDA grew by 28% for the same period, and adjusted PAT grew by 30% during the same period. In 9 months FY21, our revenue from operations grew by 52% on a YOY basis from 6925 million to 10511 million. For the same period, EBITDA grew by 71% and adjusted PAT grew by 72%. So all this translated into very high operating leverage. We have already uploaded a presentation on the stock exchanges and our website, and this high operating leverage is kind of evident on the slide 23 of our quarterly update presentation. We continue to demonstrate very strong recurring revenue growth with 142% net revenue retention and zero churn in our top 50 customers in 9 months FY21, which accounts for almost 88% of our total revenue. As Rajdeep highlighted, we have hired 77 new RMLites during the 9-month period, including Milind Pathak, the new Chief Business Officer, to drive the new business initiative. In terms of our inorganic strategy, I mean, we are at this point in time very closely working on few acquisition targets, and in a month's time or so, I mean, we should be able to kind of consummate a few transactions on that count. Before I kind of hand over the call to Q&A, I would want to highlight, I mean, the strategy that we kind of pursued for Q3 FY21. So our strategy for Q3 FY21 was to drive higher revenue growth and generate higher free cash flow. We have been fairly successful in achieving it. The slight drop in gross margins is owing to two facts. First of all, I think Rajiv highlighted the introduction of DLT. While DLT was an additional cost that is being levied to enterprises when they're communicating with their customers, but we sense that as an opportunity to win large and big clients in India. So we were able to crack deals with operators where we had some benefits in terms of the DLT pricing. We deliberately decided not to pass on the benefit of that DLT price increase that we received from operators to all the customers. The rationale for that was to drive the revenue growth strategy in India. This helped us win a lot of large new clients in India where we can cross-sell and upsell. As we all are aware, in CPaaS, I mean, the enterprise stickiness is very high. So DLT provided us with an opportunity where we believe we have done a fairly good job in onboarding a lot of new clients. Some aspects of our international business was impacted courtesy to the UK lockdown. So some of our international clients, I mean, that business were impacted in Q3. But as things start to come back to normalcy, we believe, I think a lot of these things will fall back in place. With this update, I'll open the floor for any Q&As.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, you may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, you may press star and 1. First question is from the line of Hardik Sangani. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi again. So just a couple of questions. So in terms of the gross margin percentage decline, as Gautam alluded to earlier, so just wanted to know if it's more of a permanent hit which will take and not pass on the cost to our customers. And going forward, what will be the key margin drivers in terms of gross margins? And in terms of, we have also made a presentation in one of the slides where we have launched new products and the revenue around it. If we can throw further light around it, what could be the scalability within these products which we are considering? And what part of revenue can we expect going forward in near term as a percentage of total revenues? And the competitive intensity around it. And in terms of our pipeline, how has our pipeline or in terms of new customer acquisition moved from last quarter? And for now that's it from my side.
Sure, Hardik. So Hardik, the way we have envisaged the DLT price increase, and that is something that we have not passed it on to customers, was essentially to break into some of those large customers, right? So this was kind of a disruption that had happened in the space, and we sensed that as an opportunity to get into some of those big accounts. And we've been fairly successful in onboarding some of these large big accounts in India. So the benefits of that, I think, in due course will definitely accrue to us. And it will also give us an opportunity to upsell and cross-sell, the newer offerings, including some of the product line expansion acquisitions that we are working on. It will help us directly have a ready customer base whom we can kind of take those products to.
Gautam, let me just add to this.
Yeah, sure.
I think this DLT implementation happened over, within just a few days' notice, and all of a sudden there was a price increase in India as well. So most of the enterprises, they were just having a pain point. One side they got a price increase from operator, at the same time they got another 2.5 paisa additional charge of DLT. And I think most of the enterprises, they were planning to have their a new budget for marketing and customer engagement, but somehow they felt that the price increase of over 20 to 30% is really going to kill them, and that is why what we took as a collective call, instead of making them bleed like that way. So we took that call, that is, we want to support the customer during this tough time, and they really appreciate it. And to be shared with you, I think most of these customers now are willing to pay from this quarter onwards for the DLT charges. So that was a temporary call, and I think now from this quarter onwards, we are going to charge them for the DLT charges as well.
Sure.
Yes.
Hardik, on the new product, I think we're witnessing massive adoption by enterprises. Post-pandemic, this has, something that enterprises are adopting in a big way. They're automating a lot of their business processes. So to that extent, we are witnessing a similar ramp up in terms of the offtake by enterprises. Sorry.
That's good, you're audible.
Yeah. So as is evident from the slide, quarter on quarter, we are kind of witnessing massive offtake, and we believe this will continue, for the foreseeable future.
Hardik, do you have any follow-up question?
Yeah, I just one question. So in terms of pipeline, so how it has moved, and do we see on annual any major customer signings or any, and what areas will the acquisitions be there in this quarter which you are planning?
So I'll give you the small brief about what is the Route Mobile vision and the focus going to be in this quarter and the coming quarter as well. So we are very clear about adding more product portfolio in our offering rather than just adding a messaging portfolio. So we are looking out to see, if you talk about Route Mobile as of today, we are focusing more on a customer engagement, okay? And what we need to add as a product in our portfolio is customer experience. So we are definitely looking out getting into CX path, which is more on the customer experience side. So we will definitely look out for a acquisition in the customer experience space, so that we can actually give an end-to-end or complete the entire customer journey. For us, it is very important when we onboard a customer, so we as a company should allow to sell each and every services which we have as a part of our offering. That's exactly what required. I think most of the SMS messaging company, probably they are engaging till the end of customer experience, right? Sorry, customer engagement. But the experience is also a very key area. So that is exactly what we are looking out. I think the next phase of involvement of Route Mobile would be in the CX path, which is customer experience as a service.
Sure, sir. That's from my side. Thank you.
And Hardik, sorry, so we have onboarded some of the large clients, even internationally. Some of those clients have been doing testing for various geographies. And last month in December, we billed one of those large clients. That was the first month of billing. And we believe gradually things will ramp up with that large client that I'm talking about.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pranav Mehta from ValueQuest. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Congratulations for good numbers. Just coming back to this question on gross margin. So while what happened in India is now understood, but I think one part of our strategy was also to improve the mix in favor of developed geographies, which would enable us to get better pricing. So, I mean, has that happened during this quarter, or how has the mix between developed and emerging geographies changed for you in the last few months? That's the first question. And the second question is on these acquisitions. So I think since IPO time and even in the last quarter, you were saying that we are very close to finalizing few deals, but I mean, there has not been any announcement as yet. So just wanted to understand, like, whether there has been any change in the acquisition pipeline, and like, have we kind of called off few deals, or like basically has there been any is there any change in this pipeline of acquisitions that we are working on? These are my two questions.
Right. So thanks, Pranav, for your queries. First of all, I think from the developed market perspective, we've already done few hirings. It will take some time. So some of those are senior hires, and we're looking at kind of bolstering each of that team in the US at this point in time with additional resources. So gradually, I think that slight shift from emerging to developed economy, I mean, that will happen gradually. And some of these acquisitions that you just talked about essentially will help us widen our portfolio, which we can offer it to clients in the US. And as Rajiv highlighted, most enterprises today are looking at an omni-channel or unified stack. And some of these acquisitions will help us plug that into our portfolio, which we can kind of offer it to go to enterprises and offer them a unified solution. In terms of acquisitions, I mean, there are active and advanced stages of discussions with few targets. Hopefully, we should hear good news sooner than later.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Manik Taneja from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity and congratulations for a strong quarter. I had a couple of questions. In the prior call, you mentioned about sustaining a 20-25% growth over the medium term. Given the way pandemic has accelerated the adoption of digital or cloud communication, do you think the kind of growth rate that we've seen this year could sustain over the next few years? And then I have a question around margins as well.
So, Manik, actually, so we've been able to onboard a lot of large clients, and this DLT, while I mean it has impacted us slightly on the gross margins, but it has given us an opportunity to break into some of these large clients in India, including some large e-commerce clients in India. So, I mean, a growth rate of 20-25%, I think we should be able to achieve it for next few quarters easily. I mean, next financial year, so to say. Quarter on quarter, I mean, we've been demonstrating a 10% growth, and we believe we will be able to sustain similar growth trajectories.
Okay. And just one clarification on the DLT side. I guess the DLT charge essentially was there partially for 2Q, and this quarter is when we would have seen the full impact. Is that understanding correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you've spoken about some of this charge now getting passed on to customers from 4Q onwards. So should we expect margins to improve back to 1H FY21 levels from Q4 itself? And then how should we be thinking about your margin progression as the stream of the new products as well as some of these capabilities that you essentially built through acquisition? So how should we be thinking about that?
Manik, if you just go to the slide where we have shown it revenue-wise based on the new product. Gautam, can you just highlight on that, please?
Yeah, slide 21, Rajiv. So you want? No, so Manik, we've been witnessing massive adoption of this new products like IP messaging, WhatsApp for Business, Viber. So not only in India, adjoining markets of India, we've seen massive offtake of Viber business messaging. We are at a beta phase with Apple right now. Once that is done, we'll also have a market in US where we can kind of tap Apple Business Chat. Then what we are witnessing, there are a few other products, which will kind of unfold in this quarter. Essentially, the identity solution, wherein you don't require an OTP to authenticate. So it will kind of make your consumer experience more seamless. So this should unfold this quarter, and the other would be the Google Business Messaging. So all these new products will bring or drive margins northwards.
Okay. And should we expect the margins to get back to 1H FY21 levels by Q4 itself as the customers start paying you for the DLT charge increase?
That's correct.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you and all the best for the future.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dheeraj Pathak from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. You're audible.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time. Just on DLT again, why is it that we don't have our own DLT platform? Is it something that we are working on, or we will not have this?
DLT platform, see, there are multiple companies that the operator has deployed this platform as such, right? And the operators are charging 2.5 paisa for DLT charges right now.
Mm-hmm.
Common for all the aggregator who are terminating messages on any operator right now. That's the additional charge. So there is nothing.
Yeah, but I'm saying we could be the DLT operator, right? That who is doing the blockchain technology where all the SMSs are getting scrubbed.
We are working on that area. So I think there are certain things right now. I think, I think in India right now all the operators already have deployed the DLT platform, right?
Okay. This 2.5, Rashi, this is mandated or this is a negotiated charge?
Mandated by operator itself.
Okay. This is not regulated by TRAI or anybody, right? This is a commercial arrangement between telcos.
We got this
DLT. Okay.
telcos only.
Okay. So of this 2.5 do telcos keep? Does the DLT operator keep the entire 2.5, or is it shared by telcos or something like that?
Most of the, I think more than, if I'm not wrong, it's more than, I think more than 70% odd is kept by operator only. Operator solution.
No, sorry. So let's say if the DLT operator is taking 2.5 is for scrubbing of the message for spam, 2.5 is being charged, let's say, by Trubloq, then how much will Trubloq keep and how much will, let's say, go to the telco?
I'm not wrong. There is no only Trubloq. Just to clarify, there is a IBM and Tech Mahindra also. If you go to...
I just gave an example. Yeah. So let's say those three platforms, if they
are... Actually, there are four platforms. There's a small company called as BlockCube, based out of Delhi. They have deployed their DLT platform at QTEL. So there is a fourth player also. And Tech Mahindra, there is IBM, and there is a company called Tanla. Okay. So it is all depend. There is a definitely maximum amount is kept by the operator, and then they share some kind of managed services, kind of revenue share with the operator. I think the DLT operator.
Achha. When you say large part is kept by telcos, some is shared with the DLT operator of the 2.5. And in your case, for the India transactions, this entire 2.5 which they charged, you absorbed it. Is that correct?
So some of the large customers, we did that, yes, but not for all of them. Some of the customers, as Gautam mentioned, there are certain opportunities we got to onboard some customers. And so I think we, not completely, but say around 50%, some customer, around 60%, some customers, like that way.
So of the 9 billion transactions, how much is out of the India transaction?
Dheeraj, we lost your audio at that point of time. Can you repeat?
Okay, sorry, I'll repeat again. So of the 9 billion transactions we had this quarter, first of all, if you can share the India transactions, and of those India transactions, what percentage is where you absorb the DLT charge?
So I think, Gautam, we can share with Dheeraj, right, later on.
Yeah, we can share it. So about 74% of the total transactions, total volume was India. We can share, Dheeraj, how much of that was how much of that was pertain to the DLT that we absorbed.
Okay. Understood. Thank you so much for taking my question.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ravi Menon from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. I have a couple of questions. One is, when you have WhatsApp or Viber, how are the charges different? So I guess the operator doesn't really charge you anything for that, right? It is just between you and Viber or WhatsApp where the revenue sharing happens.
That's correct, Ravi. So whenever we are doing a bot solution for any enterprise, we charge a bot creation fee, there is a bot hosting fee, and then per transaction fee that we charge. And a part of the transaction-based fee that we get from enterprises, we share a large part of that with WhatsApp or Vibers of the world.
So could we say that if more of messaging shifts to these media, should we expect that our margins will be better than SMS?
That's correct. That's correct. It will be significantly better than SMS.
All right. Thanks. And second question is, with Sinch acquiring ACL, have you seen an increase in competitive dynamics over this year?
Not exactly. So ACL was always there in the Indian market. So we continue to face similar competition at this point in time. There is nothing which has increased significantly, so to say.
And your plans to go international, which geographies would you be looking at? Should a lot of the M&A be intended for that, or would it be more technology to that?
So currently the focus is on technology. So we're looking at expanding the product line.
So each market already has a certain set of operators, right? This is a market that I think has existed for quite a long time. So how would it be possible to enter these geographies? What would be the differentiator that could enable you to get more market access?
So we are already very strong in some of the emerging markets, right, where we are only offering few products out of our kitty. With some of these acquisitions that will be able to consummate in a month's time or so, we will be able to offer the similar offering not only to enterprises but also operators. Most operators are also looking at a unified CPaaS solution. So it will open opportunities on both counts, enterprises as well as operators.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of Manish Poddar from Nippon India AIF. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. I had a few questions. So first one is, let's say, X this DLT charges, how would a gross margin actually, perform? Hello?
Yeah, Manish.
Hello?
Manish, X of DLT, the gross margins will steady around the Q2 gross margin levels.
Okay. And just wanted to understand, let's say from a longer term per se, should generally one look at gross margin on a QOQ basis or on a YOY basis?
So YOY basis will be the right approach because the prices are dynamic, and once the price change, then it becomes operational, from that period of time.
Okay. And can you help me with two data points? One is how much would be your cash flow from operation and how much is the cash on books?
Yeah. So the cash flow from operations for 9 months is about 202 crores. We had capex about 10 to 12 crores, so about 190 crores of free cash. Cash on books at this point in time will be about 440 crores.
And just one last one is that when you said acquisition.
Small disclaimer, these are all unaudited. Balance sheet is not published, so these are unaudited numbers.
That's fine. So just wanted to understand the last one is that when you mention about the transaction, so are there multiple transactions or is there one transaction? Because you mentioned transactions.
Yeah, there are a couple of them.
So we intend to, it's couple of them in evaluation stage and we'll go ahead with one, or we'll, go ahead with both of them?
Maybe one or two.
Okay. Okay, no worries. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pranav from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thanks for the opportunity. I have only one question. My other questions are answered. So good to see very strong traction in the new product revenue. Can you please give us some color on which are the top 2-3 products where you are seeing traction, and which are the product where you think offer most potential for your existing customers?
So anything, Pranav, hi, Rajdip here. So anything on IP messaging, if you talk about India right now, I think the best option is WhatsApp for business. So I think we are seeing lots of traction over WhatsApp for business right now. If you go to other market where Viber is much stronger than WhatsApp, in those markets, I think our Viber offering is also doing good. And there are certain markets we are working on Telegram as well. Apart from that, I think Google RCS is something which we are bullish about, and I hope all the operators within this quarter will enable their network with RCS capabilities. And post that, I think we'll be the first people probably launch the first kind of customer in India on RCS. So we do see lots of potential in RCS in India and other part of the world as well.
Okay. So, just to get a sense on new business, is it fair to say at this point of time, let's say, good chunk of revenue will be coming from, the Telegram? Let's say more like a 50% or so coming from, let's say, Telegram and WhatsApp, or it will be more diversified?
So I think right now it's Viber and WhatsApp as of today, and Telegram is the third one.
Okay. And in terms of, this inorganic acquisition, you talked about a couple of them. And both the acquisition we are talking about, basically a product or a capability-led acquisition, which will help you expand the product portfolio to address the current customer base. This is how it, would describe basically the acquisition?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. That's it from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohit from White Oak. Please go ahead.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
It's a very quick question. Can you help me with the bridge between the 126, 127 crores of cash profits that I see for 9 months and the 202 CR cash flow from operations that you just mentioned?
Sorry, I think 9 months EBITDA is around 130. 1 second. 130.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, if you can repeat your query once again.
On page 24 of your presentation, I just compute a cash profit of about 120, in fact 116 CR, 97 crores of profits, and I'm just adding back your D&A of 19. And you just mentioned the cash flow from operations for 9 months was 202 crores. So if you could just give me the bridge between these two numbers. Was there a major working capital release that you said?
Yeah, sure. So first disclaimer, this is not audited, but I'll just give you the bridge. Operating profit, so PBT is 11907, so 119 crores.
Yeah.
Operating profit before working capital changes, 130 odd crores.
Before working capital is 130, you said?
Yes. Adjustment for working capital, that is about 213 crores. Tax paid about 12 crores, so that totals to about 202 crores.
Oh, sorry, adjusted for working capital, how much is it?
83 crores.
So 83 crores of working capital release?
That's correct.
Could you help us understand which line that is coming from? Is it reduction in...
So receivable days, there is a... So 1 day drop in receivable days vis-a-vis Q2 for 9 months period. So receivable days is about 56 days and payable days is about 90 odd days, 90 plus days.
So I'm trying to understand the release versus March 31st. How have these two numbers moved? If you could give me the absolute numbers, how much has receivables come down and how much has payables gone?
1 second.
I'm assuming you don't have any meaningful inventory this week.
No, there is no inventory. So there is an increase in receivables by about 17 crores.
Okay. And payables have gone up then by close to 100 crores?
Payables would have gone up, 1 second. Yeah, about 90 odd crores.
And what explains this? Are you getting better terms, from telcos, or what explains this?
No, this is because of higher throughput in the firewall networks. So wherever we have the firewalls, we've been able to generate higher throughput. So we've been able to get the money from enterprises and OTTs and pay to the operators subsequently.
But your credit terms with operators have not changed.
No, credit terms in case of operators where we have the firewall, it's kind of linked to when we realize the money from enterprises, we pay to the operators.
Okay, but your receivables are up. So, in the firewall solution, I'm assuming that you're collecting the money early. In which case, the numbers, this delta should have shown up in receivables and not on the payable side. Your payable terms are still the same. Whatever your credit terms were 9 months back, have they improved in your favor?
So there are two business models. One is where we have firewall, where we don't have firewall. Where we don't have firewall, the receivable days tend to be about 55-60 days. Where we have the firewall, there the receivable days tend to be after we collect the money from the enterprises. So typically, whenever we're catering to any large OTT enterprise, right, the typical payment cycle from OTT enterprise will be around 30 to 45 days. So once we collect the money from there, we pay to the operators in their credit cycle of 55 to 60 days.
Sure. And perhaps, take this offline.
Yeah, I'm happy to help you understand this offline.
To appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Swapnil from GMFL. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for this opportunity. So just couple of questions actually. One on the gross margins. Is there any seasonality in the business? Because I can see that your 4Q20 gross margins were around 17 to 18%, whereas typically the margins remain around 20 odd percent, 19 to 20%. So is there any seasonality factor in the margins there?
So Q3 always happens to be the best quarter for us in terms of both margin as well as revenue. This time Q3, in terms of promotional spend by enterprises in India and Middle East, wasn't as good as what it was in the last, on a YOY basis, Q3 FY20. So as things come back to normalcy, again, we believe Q3 will be the best of all the quarters.
And so, what about 4Q margins? I mean, like last year, if I do the math, it comes to 17.7% gross margin. Whereas in the previous quarters, you had between 19 to 20%, and then in this year also, your margins in the previous quarters were 19.5% odd. So still there's a 1 to 1.5% difference. Hello.
Yeah, so I think we've already explained it. A large part of that was because of some price absorption that we have taken. And gradually it will again clinch back to the 19 to 20% gross margin.
Okay. And second question is with respect to your SaaS business, the 365 Square. So may I know how many operators are onboarded as of this quarter end, and what's happening in the business, or was it affected by COVID, and how much? And there was an acquisition also of a TeleDNA business unit. So like, what will be the trajectory in that business? If you can put some color on that.
Yeah, so there are about 8 operators which are already live. There are 3 deployments happening at this point in time, including BSNL in India. And this business was not impacted by COVID, so to say. There were some realignment in terms of the billing model of the firewall business, where Route Mobile became the gateway and they were using the services of 365 Squared. So to that extent, besides this, the business continues to be highly profitable.
Just to add out here, because of some of the new OTT channels like Signal, I think we have seen a growth in those kind of revenue and traffic as well. So I'll give a simple example of Bangladesh. There is a particular new app called as BIP SMS, which has just from last 1 month we see a growth on that, and we are monetizing that particular traffic for Grameenphone. So I think with 365 squared, I think more number of international transaction over the local network, more number of OTP generates. I think that we have a better thing to deliver, and I think as a 365 squared and the Route Mobile combination, we do see lots of value, and with the current deployment which we are having right now, will definitely add lots of value to RML revenue and profitability.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Arpit Shah from Stallion Asset Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to understand that if the total transactions are 74% in India, what value of your revenue will be coming from India? Actually, this message is originating from India. Hello.
Yeah. Hi. So 74% volume contributed to 45% of total India revenue.
Okay, 45% of total India revenue. And if I heard it correctly,
45% was up from 40% in Q2 FY21. So Q2 FY21 it was 40% on 67% revenue base, volume base.
Okay. And if I heard you correctly, there's some Apple tie-up which you're planning for your RCS product, right? If you can throw some light on that.
Okay, this is for Apple Business Chat. So we are at a beta phase with Apple right now on the Apple Business Chat. So like WhatsApp, we will be able to offer Apple business solutions to enterprises.
So that will be for North America, or it will be across Asia or something like that?
The globe. Like WhatsApp, across the globe.
Across the globe. Okay. And I just want to understand, what's the difference between firewall and non-firewall customers that you just mentioned?
Yeah. So firewalls are essentially software solutions that we sell to operators. So in cases where we have these solutions deployed with an operator, the operator pays us for that software solution. Whereas for networks where we don't have the firewall, typically, we pay to the telcos as our suppliers.
Okay. So what will be the total revenue that will be coming from operators, and what will be the share coming from enterprises for you all?
So about 93% revenue will be coming from enterprises. The balance will be from operators.
Okay. And what kind of scale-ups you all are seeing for newer products from here? I can just see that the growth is 100%, let's say from Q1 to Q3. What kind of guidance would you like to give for the newer products from here? Currently, this contributes around 3% of total revenues, quarterly revenues.
In terms of new product for the coming financial year, or sorry, I missed your query.
So your new products are currently contributing around 11 crores to total revenues. Where do you see it going forward in the total revenue share?
Yeah, 11 crores is for the quarter.
Yeah.
So we envisage it should be anywhere between 5 to 10% of revenue in the next 6 months or so.
And how significantly the margin profiles are different for both the A2P and the newer products?
A2P margin profiling will be in and around the 19 to 20%. New products, the margin profiling is at this point in time northwards of 50%.
Okay, and are you not looking to scale up to like 30-40% of revenues, the newer products, in the next 2 to 3 years?
So it is possible, but it is a function of adoption by the enterprises, which we are witnessing at this point in time.
And your strategy for North America would be on the newer products, or would be on the older legacy platform?
It will be on a unified play. So some of the acquisitions that we are working on is to create that unified play.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pranav from Indian Investment Advisors. Please go ahead.
My question's already been answered. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you may press star and one to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Varun Sharma, an individual advisor. Please go ahead.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir,
hi.
you're audible.
Hi. So I have two fairly simple questions. One is, which are the top geographies, maybe top 5 geographies that are contributing to the revenue? And two, is there any plan to enter any new geographies, maybe in next couple of quarters?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me just answer this question. So we are definitely looking out Philippines and Indonesia as a market, and Latin America. These two markets, and we are already with a plan to hire people over there. And I think next 2 quarters probably we'll try to focus more on the Indonesia, Philippines, and Latin America, along with Africa as well.
Okay. Thanks for that. Coming back to my first question, could you please let me know which are the top 5 geographies that are contributing to the revenue?
Yes, Gautam?
Varun, it is already uploaded on slide 20.
Yes, slide 20. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm dialing in from my phone. Maybe I'll touch base with the slides on that.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to all the participants, you may press star and one to ask a question. Next question is from the line of Hardik Sangani. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi again. Just one question. Sir, in terms of our product expansion strategy, so we have also alluded to doing an acquisition, but in terms of organically, do you see any need of significant R&D spend in coming financial year?
So Hardik, just to let you know that all this product development which we have right now is all organic only. So we already have hired more than 25 to 30 people, especially in R&D team, and we are already doing lots of development on RCS, Google Business Messages, and mobile identity in-house.
Okay. That's it, Thomas.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Siddharth Malhotra, an individual advisor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, ladies and gentlemen. My question is, how has the new year started from a business perspective as compared to last quarter?
The voice is not clear.
Yeah, my question is, how has the new year started from a business perspective as compared to the last quarter? Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah.
So Gautam, you got the question?
Yeah, Rajiv, I think he's asking how has the new year started? I mean, how has January been right now?
That's right.
Okay, thanks. So I think, as I said, most of the Indian customer, I think we are just passing on this DLT charges to them, and they are agree to pay. Apart from that, I think we onboarded one of the large e-commerce company, and we have billed them, I think, in the month of January for the month of December usage. And we believe this customer is another $50 million kind of a customer for us. And I think we onboarded almost 67 new customers in last quarter in terms of new product. And we also onboarded multiple customers on a messaging side as well. So yeah, I think January is definitely much better.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll just like to finish off with a question with regards to your growth guidance. Does that remain between 20 and 25% for FY22?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dheeraj Pathak from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Gautam, can you give the firewall revenue for the 9 months?
Yeah, total firewall revenue for 9 months is 51 crores.
51 crores, okay. And for the new product sales, which is 11 crores for the quarter, can you give a sense of large part of this is from WhatsApp or RCS? Where is the main revenue pool in this 11
IP
crores?
messaging. It's coming from IP messaging.
WhatsApp. So we'll share that data.
Okay. And I don't know whether maybe you have time or not and that this is the right call, but this mobile ID as a service, if you can just explain, is it live anywhere in your client? Are you getting any revenues from it right now? And, what is the revenue model?
So it is on a beta stage right now, and I will send you the presentation, or you can download the presentation from our website also. And
But what would be the revenue model, Rajiv? Would it be very different from what we currently have? For example, in India, we get that 10 paisa and then we get 20% of that. So how different in terms of?
Definitely more than the OTP charges because, and plus it has a different experience itself, the user doesn't need to wait for the OTP and you are by default getting authenticated through the mobile operator data, so it is more about the use cases where maybe some customer need, so it is not just replacing the OTP, but it's a case-on-case basis, so it is definitely going to be per authentication basis charges.
Okay. So right now the OTP is authenticating and we are getting, the client is paying maybe now with DLT 12.5 paisa. In this case, client would pay materially higher and would you get, you still get at as 20% markup or can you just explain that part or is it still too early to talk about that?
25% markup on this, 25% markup kind of thing.
And per identity, what would be the charge?
So that's
what would be the charge?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. What would be? Is it not decided yet or what?
It is not decided yet, so we're just trying to onboard customer for these services. I would like to understand, so we are on a very early stage of POC. So probably I think within this quarter we'll try to just onboard some customer and see their feedback. And maybe the next quarter onwards we can start putting the revenue model on this.
And in any other market, developed market maybe, has it really picked up and become a large part of the authentication process or is it still early there also?
Mobile identity is definitely picking up all across the globe, and there are various markets where people are actually looking into this, but it's all about the adoption. So I can still say that it's a very early stage as of now, and this will take a few quarters or months to actually get adopted by the enterprises. And we are very bullish about this because this would definitely solve lots of problem of SIM swapping and SIM frauds. So I think the biggest use case of this is going to mitigate the risk of SIM swapping.
Okay. So any market you would like to call out where the adoption is much in more advanced stage, which we can study to understand, what this is all about?
The market has already started adopting this, and I think in India we do see lots of payment company has this challenge of SIM swapping. And there are lots of money has been lost by various users. So I think by providing this kind of solution where SIM swapping can be, the risk of SIM swapping can be mitigated by our solution, it will help most of the payment companies.
Okay. Okay, Rajiv. Thank you so much for that.
Dheeraj, do you have any follow-up question?
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of Suraj from Prithvi Finmart. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good evening. Sir, you said that the new age business revenues will be 5 to 10% of the revenue in next 6 months from current 2 to 3%. So what will drive this growth? I mean, we are talking three times. Currently we are doing around 10, 11 crores. It will go to 30, 40 crores a quarter. So what will drive this 3 to 4x jump?
I think you need to also add the inorganic growth along with that. Like the companies which you are planning to acquire is definitely a new product line only, right?
Okay.
And just to add, on a quarter-on-quarter basis, we are witnessing almost a 48-50% growth rate. So.
Okay, sir. And sir, you said about 50% margin. So you meant about the gross margins in this service?
Yeah, gross.
Okay. And sir, you can throw some light on CXPass, what it is, and I don't know anything about it. So if you can just give us some brief about it, what it is. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, CX Pass is nothing but, a very unified offering that we can offer to our enterprise, wherein a customer can come, he can authenticate himself, do a transaction, post-transaction grievance handling, to any sort of a customer survey. Everything is tackled through one platform.
Okay. And then this mobile identity service that we are talking about, so if this, let's say, gets accepted in next 6-8 months or a year's time, then will it replace all sorts of OTPs that we send, may it be for banking transaction or may it be for OTD, or is it only for the financial transactions?
So if you see, all these different layer of communications has a different use cases, right? So nothing is going to replace by. So there are different use cases required by payment companies as of today where they have the SIM swapping issue. So most of the time, mobile identity can resolve that SIM swapping issue. So companies like payment companies who are you might be knowing that there are many various cases related to the SIM swapping. So I think this solution will definitely mitigate the risk of SIM swapping.
Okay. And the one service will get replaced by another service. So I think the revenues might increase marginally a bit, but our margins will increase a lot. Is that understanding correct?
Yes, you're right.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's it from my side. All the best.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, that will be the last question for today. I will now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
I would like to say thank you to all of you and thanks for your time, guys. And we as a platform company, I think we should also treat it as a platform play, and we are committed to our investors and our partners to deliver the best results. And I think the kind of growth ratio path we are working on right now, I think Route Mobile from messaging to CPaaS to CX Pass is what our future plan is, and definitely we are going to focus more on a customer experience and customer engagement in coming months down the line. And we are definitely looking out to engage more customer where we can add upsell and cross-sell other services. And I think that's one of the key focus for us. And I just like to say thanks for your time, guys. Thank you very much.